Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1521, 1521. I'm Mike Matthews, just kind of messing around here at Café Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, Mont, the last place on Earth. Hey, look at this nice cat right here. Trying to take my pot pie. Hey, I just want to say I'm so happy 2017's going away.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Because it was the year I got hit by a deer. I don't know why I'm dwelling on that, but
Mike's Daily Podcast.
It was the year that I decided I was going to shave my head. Wait, I decided that about 11 years ago anyway. Fred was this guy I knew. He smoked a lot of pot and he would never get out of bed. And that's a lot to just sit in bed all day and not do anything. Yeah.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
So yeah, I was talking about pot yesterday and how it can give you an upset stomach.
Mike's
It can make you nauseous
Daily
if you smoke too much of it.
Podcast.
I went on the website later on that I saw this information. What? How did that happen? What's his name? Bezos, the other bald, good-looking guy that you know in your universe. Look who just walked in. Apparently, the richest people on Earth just became $1 trillion richer this year, more than 4 times last year's gain, as stock markets shrugged off economic, social, and political divisions to reach record highs. The 23% increase on the Bloomberg Billionaires Index. By the way, I've been watching that Bloomberg television. Look who else walked in. Where are these beautiful, smart, money-savvy women coming from? And why am I single in this universe? Is my question that I'm fumbling to ask. Oh, my word. And I watch on Sunday afternoon. There's a couple things I watch that I watch it on Sunday afternoon that I'm not too pleased about. One of them is the Man versus...
And here's today's podcast picture.
Man versus Food with this new guy, Casey. There used to be that short guy who got, as the show went on, he got fatter and fatter, and then he stopped doing the challenges. Man versus Food is where restaurants all across the U.S. have these crazy challenges. Eat this burrito. That's as big as a Volkswagen in 2 minutes. Go! Oh, and if you don't eat it, you have to pay for the Volkswagen burrito. It's $800,000. Go! And if you don't eat it in time, we'll remove your spleen. Go! 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 Dough! Dough, where's my dough?
Go!
Do it!
Do it!
Just do it!
Just do it!
Eat the damn burrito! And, oh my, it's just a crazy show. So he stopped doing the challenges, this guy, I forget his name. He kind of talked. He was really loud the whole time. I know the last show should have been called Voices because I was just discussing voices left and right. Peter Coyote's voice, where Peter Coyote talks with this pacing, with this gait, where he will stop every few words to make a dramatic point that will become more dramatic in the last 3 words of the sentence. Drama bit. I'm a little slow with my sound effects today. Thank you. My point being, I talked a lot about voices, and I made fun of Laura Fryer's voice on NPR. You got to hear her at the very end. Ooh, let's drop her in right now, Mike.
While I'm filling in for Lulu Garcia Navarro, I thought I'd bring you a dose of crisp...
Oh, Laura Fryer. I have such a thing for her. So, my point being, I have a thing for female news journalists, which is probably not a good thing if I was in the news business, because I would be single and looking for a woman, which you can't do, and you don't want to date people that you work with, is my point. And that can lead to all kinds of issues, as we've been hearing lately, with the men and the women and the sexual harassment. And John Hockenberry at WNYC. So when I visited New York almost 10 years ago now, I was married at the time, and we booked a hotel in Soho. We did not know that this hotel, and the hotel was free, by the way, because we had points, because we had an American Express card that we were using all the time to pay for stuff when we moved to Alabama, and we used the credit card. Well, that gave us a lot of points that we could use at hotels like in New York. So the whole trip was free. Ended up the hotel stay was free, which is cool. That's the Starwood preferred thing if you ever use that. I don't ever stay at hotels anymore, so I canceled that a while ago. I use other type of reward program things like Costco, because I buy crap at Costco, which I guess there's this new show called Baskets, and in it Louis Anderson, the comedian Louis Anderson, he's dressed as a woman, dressed as the mom of Zach Galifianakis, and she goes shopping at Costco a lot, which at that premise alone, I laugh. But the point being, WNYC was right across the street from the hotel we were staying at. I had no idea till we get there, and I look across, I go, honey, I think there's a radio station directly across from us, and we're like on the 25th floor of this hotel, and right across from us, across this massive chasm, which below is some New York City street, is, and we were practically on the roof, and you see on the rooftops of New York the classic New York skyline. You've got those little water towers everywhere. You expect a Pepsi commercial to suddenly explode on top of one of them, and hey, Pepsi's it, Pepsi generation, David Bowie, woo, singing. And there's not, but billboards everywhere, and there is WNYC, and I can see into their studios, and I was just, wow, this is amazing. Wow, shits, wow, here I am.
Wow, shits, wow.
I enjoyed my New York experience, but then to come out, out, as I fumbled through that sentence, John Hockenberry, who used to be on TV, he used to be on some late night show. One of the few journalists, I don't know why this is, but one of the few journalists, well-known personalities, that's in a wheelchair. I don't know why there's not more, but there you go. That's a observation I've made. John Hockenberry apparently was a jerk, was an idiot, and was mean to women, and would talk over them on the air. He would abuse them. He'd grope and touch and all these other accusations. So John Hockenberry apparently was on WNYC for a long time. And the story that I heard on the podcast on the media, they did a special, usually the show is on NPR stations, even though it's not an NPR produced show. It is heard on NPR stations, usually on Sunday afternoons. Back to Sunday afternoon, which I will get to the TV thing in a moment. But they on the media were discussing the John Hockenberry situation at WNYC, because that's where they record on the media, and they were discussing how there was this one well-known personality on the air saying, well, I never knew about John Hockenberry. I never knew he was such a jerk. And somebody called in and said, hey, I've been listening to your station for a long time, and I could tell John Hockenberry was a jerk. I could tell the way he interrupted women on the air. I could tell in his manner that he was not a nice guy. We all made the exception. I don't know, we saw the wheelchair, and I don't know what happens in the male brain, in the female brain, that there's, maybe he's not. Maybe he's a nice guy, but apparently he was not. And it doesn't matter if you have a wheelchair or not. You can sometimes just be a jerk regardless. And now I'm thinking of a South Park episode where there was someone that took advantage of, I can't think of it at the moment. Did it have to do with a cat?
Now, kitty big nut.
But yes, so that's just the John Hockenberry situation. And I was across the street, probably when all that was going on in 2009 in New York. So the Sunday shows. Okay, so there's this guy Casey that's taken over Man vs. Food. And when I see him, and he looks at the camera a lot when he's trying to force down all this food, the massive Volkswagen burrito. And he's looking at the camera, and I see, when he looks at the camera, I see Will Ferrell. Do you see Will Ferrell? This Casey guy on the Travel Channel? How is he eating all that food? He's very amusing. He likes to look at the camera a lot and grimace and make that kind of face that Will Ferrell makes when he looks at the camera. So I watch that on Sundays, and then also Bloomberg has their special show that starts where they're looking at the Asian markets. And there are some beautiful women on that program that I think, I don't know, if I wasn't in this business, if I wasn't in the media business, maybe we could go out. Maybe, because I'm sure they're more interested in people outside of the business. I don't know. I need to get on a dating app. The point being, the Jeff Bezos, wait, he's like $34 billion more rich. Amazon.com founder Jeff Bezos added the most in 2017, a $34.2 billion gain that knocked Microsoft Corporation co-founder Bill Gates out of his spot as the world's richest person in October. Bill Gates, 62, had held the spot since 2013 and has been donating much of his fortune to charity, including a $4.6 billion pledge he made to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in August. Jeff Bezos, whose net worth topped $100 billion at the end of November, currently has a net worth of $99.6 billion compared to Bill Gates' $91.3 billion. Oh, they are so close. So close. George Soros also gave away a substantial part of his fortune, revealing in October that his family office had given $18 billion to his Open Society foundations over the past several years. Yeah. Rich people. And who's sorry for a tweet? Jenna Fisher posted a lengthy apology after spreading misinformation about the GOP tax bill. Jenna Fisher. Hey, Mr. Sylvester Stallone bought a Rocky statue. He paid $400,000. The statue featured in the 1982 Rocky III movie, and then posed with it on Christmas Day on an Instagram post with his pal Arnold Schwarzenegger. And Shakira's pipes are mending. Oh, hey, I watched Zoology, and she's in that. She's a gazelle in that movie. Shakira. Zoology, what a movie. I don't know. It's a metaphor about our world, about how some of us are carnivores and some of us are herbivores and some of us are prey and some of us are what, and we all can get along. Is that what Zoology was about? Or Zootopia? What's Zoology? Oh, that's a U2 record. Right. Okay. Yeah. I watched this movie, Zootopia, and it was comedic. I had no idea Jason Bateman was in it. I kept hearing his voice and thought it was Tom Hanks. And then at the very end, it's this crime caper mystery thing going on, is what it is basically. And visually, it's amazing. CGI, a lot of thought put into it. There's a whole Zootopia city. And the beginning of the movie is what I liked. I liked the fact that it was talking about how society tries to put you in a particular category and you can break out of that category. I like that whole thing. And then it turned into this, well, how did this happen? Who caused that? And I was, So, but Doctor Who's now a woman. That changed on Christmas Day. Peter Capaldi became... I don't know the actress's name. But surprise there, I don't know the actress's name, and it's not in front of me. So I'm just going to leave it and say Doctor Who is a woman. The woman from Broadchurch, the TV show Broadchurch, if you've watched that on BBC. And the guy, don't know his name either, who directs Broadchurch is going to be taking over that. So there you go. You can watch the scene where Peter Capaldi changes into the female doctor now. It's on YouTube. They've got the whole last 5 minutes of the Doctor Who episode, which I have not watched in its entirety yet. Although I have access to it now, so I'm going to do that. And I like where this is going.
I don't like where this is going. Whoa.
Nothing's working right today. My brain, the world. You know what? Maybe the world is working right, and I just don't see it. On the last show, I was discussing how I had the opportunity to talk to my family in Germany, and instead of using Skype, I used Google Hangouts, which was kind of complicated because I used my phone as the camera, but I was at work and I used the computer to see their screen because it's bigger, to see what they were showing me of the whole family. And like I said, I got to see my my cousin, who you hear say Mike's Daily Podcast at the beginning of every show. I got to see my the mom of that cousin and my just a whole bunch of people. It was awesome, and they're all in Germany and so far away. It was wonderful, and we discussed my uncle, who is my cousin's grandfather. Who passed away about 2 years ago now, I think it is. And he's the voice you hear at the beginning of every show going, I'm going to sing you another song. So we were talking about him. We did a toast to him over Google Hangouts. It was wonderful. It was a great Christmas. And I just thought I'd bring that up. All right. I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover. And Shakira's voice is on the mend. And so that's good. That I'm not the biggest Shakira fan. I know she's beautiful. Some of her songs are catchy. There's a little bit of, if you spoke Spanish, maybe her music means more. If it's more. Roy Moore, speaking of Moore, his campaign launched a last-minute court battle late yesterday to block his loss in Alabama's special Senate election from becoming official. Doug Jones beat him. Moore was endorsed by Trump. And it was a special election to replace Jeff Sessions, who moved on to Attorney General. But Moore has refused to concede the election, which he had been widely expected to win before allegations of sexual misconduct with underage girls emerged late in the campaign. He's denied all the allegations. Well, the Alabama State Canvassing Board is meeting today to certify Doug Jones' victory. But the Moore campaign filed a complaint late last night in State Circuit Court in Montgomery, Alabama, the state capital, seeking a temporary restraining order to postpone the certification, alleging, quote, potential election fraud that improperly altered the outcome of this election. There was fraud afoot. This is not a Republican or Democrat issue, as election integrity should matter to everyone, said Moore in a statement. Alabama Secretary of State John Merrill said to the Associated Press last night that he has no intention of delaying the canvassing board meeting. It's not going to delay certification, and Doug Jones will be certified at 1 o'clock today, and he will be sworn in by Vice President Pence on the 3rd of January, he said. Moore's statement gives few details of the purposeful irregularities, which it says were substantial, with a reasonable degree of statistical and mathematical certainty by 3 election experts. The statement identified only one of the experts, Richard Charman, who, quote, saying the probability that the official election results were accurate was less than 1 in 15 billion. All right. Well, Roy Moore lost by about 20,000 votes, and he is a sore loser along with being a pedophile and all the other stuff he is. So, wonderful guy. Well, I think we didn't even say hi to the characters that popped in, the Café Anyway characters, who I know you love so much. And here they all are. As we go outside of Café Anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley. Hi, Mike. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How y'all doing?
It's a Disgruntled Fiddle Player, tell you what.
What?
You know, John Hockenberry being in a wheelchair, that does not excuse his behavior.
Exactly what I was saying. And my point was about that whole story, bringing that up, is how so often as a radio listener or a television viewer, you can tell when there's something going on behind the scenes, when there's some animosity happening. It's palpable. And there's been several examples throughout the years. I've worked with some people that nobody else liked, and the show, like the beginning shows, will be great. Everybody's got this positive attitude, and then after a while everybody becomes, I hate this person so much. And it happens a lot in radio because people get paired up that maybe shouldn't have been paired up, but I've seen a lot of situations work in radio too. And people, putting up with, sometimes the woman would come in and she'd be like, it's so early. Why am I here? And then they just have to do it. They have to get along with the show. Do it! Get the show done. Do the radio show or the television show. It's hard work. But I think you can extrapolate that out into the real world. Radio, television not being the real world, but your company, wherever you work, and dealing with some people that you don't want to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and but yet certain behavior that John Hockenberry apparently indulged in, just not cool. And one last person.
Mike, I make the delicious root beer, oh boy!
Please pour us that root beer now outside Café Anyway, where it is actually pretty cold. And I don't know why we're out here. I guess because we're wrapping up the show. Oh, the podcast picture is of this guy as well that just poured the root beer.
Yeah, I'm pouring it. Happy New Year, everybody. Oh, boy.
That's right. It is a Happy New Year. You're sounding very Barney today.
Thanks. I like a dust root beer. Oh, boy.
Happy New Year!
Very good. Next show, it will be the wonderful Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley. I think that's it, and I think that's live.
That's live.
That's what people say anyway.
That's what all the people say.
Wow. Let's wrap it up. Thanks for listening.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!